Alright guys, in today's video we will be discussing the best foods for hard gainers to eat in order to build muscle. Now personally, I don't really think hard gainers exist because if you just think about this logically, if you eat in a caloric surplus, you will gain weight, you will build muscle if you're eating in a caloric surplus and eating adequate protein. I just think people who are hard gainers probably have a hard time eating enough food, but that's okay. We'll be discussing in this video which foods to eat to build muscle as someone who's a self-described hard gainer. All right, so step one, we'll get into some fundamentals first. All right, so in order to gain weight, in order to gain muscle, you must eat above maintenance calories to build muscle. All right, so if you're in the gym, if you're eating food and you're not gaining weight, you're not gaining muscle, you're not getting strength, that means you are not eating enough calories. That means you are not eating above maintenance calories, because if you were, you'd be growing. All right, so in order to find your maintenance calories, you want to go on Google and you want to search TDEE calculator. All right, once you're on Google, once you go to TDEE calculator, it's going to request some information about you regarding your body measurements and your activity level. You're going to fill in that information, and once you fill in that information, it's going to give you an estimated maintenance calories. Okay, now while I will say um, the maintenance calories it gives you isn't an estimation, it's an approximation. Okay, so in my experience with others, it's usually pretty spot on. However, with that being said, it is an approximation. So what I would recommend you do is that you eat at what it says your maintenance calories for two at eat at what it says your maintenance calories is for about 2 weeks and evaluate your weight. Okay, so if you eat at maintenance calories for 2 weeks and your weight stays the same, you know that your maintenance calories that it gave you is accurate. However, if you eat at maintenance calories that it gives you for 2 weeks and you lose weight, you know that your maintenance calories are actually higher. And if you eat at maintenance calories for 2 weeks and you actually gain weight, you know your maintenance calories are truly lower. So just trial and error for about 2 weeks, all right, just to see if it actually is your maintenance calories, all right. Now, in terms of foods to eat, all right, so in order to build muscle, you need to eat at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. According to literature, scientific literature, studies show that you can eat anywhere from zero point 0.7 to zero point 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight to gain muscle, but I recommend eating anywhere from 1 to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 grams, or excuse me, if you weigh 200 pounds, that means you need to be eating anywhere from 200 to 250 grams of protein per pound of body weight. But if you guys are hard gainers, I highly doubt y'all are 200 pounds unless you're really tall. But yeah, so eating protein is extremely important. It might be hard at first, but you get used to it. I recommend eating about every 2.5 to 3 hours at a time. This is hard for hard gainers, but the more you do it, the more easy it becomes. And here are some foods you can eat. All right, so you have the tried and true chicken breast. You don't have to eat chicken breast. You can eat chicken thighs, chicken cutlet, but I just recommend chicken breast. They're popular because of the low calorie and high protein ratio. All right. You got fish, and the variations of fish you have are tuna, tilapia, flounder, salmon, cod, right? So these are all easy fishes you can just cook, throw in the oven, air fryer. Eat ground beef, ground turkey. I recommend eating 93.7 ground beef, ground turkey because I found that it has the best price to lean protein to calorie ratio. But of course, if you're a hard gainer, you can eat, lower leanness to protein ratio, right? You can eat 80/20 since you're a hard gainer, since you need more calories. Greek yogurt has lots of protein, egg whites, eggs, beef liver. All of these foods on this board you can mix and match to easily get, um, you know, your daily allotted protein goal, which is anywhere from one to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Right? You can eat 8 ounces of chicken breast, 12 ounces of fish, 1 carton of egg whites, and 2 cups of Greek yogurt. That's about 230, 240 grams of protein right there. You have a pound of ground turkey, 8 ounces chicken breast, 8 ounces tuna, 2 cups Greek yogurt. That's like 210 grams of protein right there. So you can mix and match these foods any way you want. And I'll go over them one more time. Chicken breast, fish and its variations, tuna, tilapia, flounder, salmon, cod, ground beef, ground turkey, Greek yogurt, egg whites, eggs, beef liver. All right, foods that are relatively easy to make. All right, and these are all low calorie, high protein foods. Now, if you're a hard gainer, you might not have a hard time getting your protein, but you might have a hard time getting calories. And here's some high calorie foods you can eat to make putting on mass more easy. All right. So once you've hit your daily protein goal, all right, or you can mix and match these with your high protein foods. You can eat peanut butter. 1 teaspoon of peanut butter has about, or tablespoon of peanut butter rather, has 180 calories. So when I was bulking up to 200 pounds, I went from 170 to 200 pounds in a bulk in about 10 months. What I did was I would just force feed peanut butter. I would get a plate, I would get a scale, right? And I put a paper plate on it. And I would zero out the scale and I would just throw scoops of peanut butter on the scale until I got like, 1,000 calories worth of peanut butter, right? And so I would eat 1,000 calories. I would force feed 1,000 calories worth of peanut butter by literally drinking water with the peanut butter and just swallowing the peanut butter down with the water to make it easier, okay? So you can eat peanut butter if you need calories, peanuts. Peanuts are pretty easy to eat. It's a good snack, a good high calorie snack. Bagels. What I like to do is, each bagel is universally anywhere from 250 to 300 calories. But what I like to do is, I like to get a bagel, get 2 servings of peanut butter, all right, and about a serving of cream cheese. So 2 servings of peanut butter is 360 calories. A serving of cream cheese is about 100 calories. So that's right there, 460 calories. A bagel is about 300 calories. So that's a 760 calorie snack right there. A bagel with 2 servings of peanut butter and cream cheese. Pop Tarts. Pop Tarts universally, 2 Pop Tarts in one packet have about 380 calories. I also am a huge fan of muffins, right? Like I like to go to Sam's Club. The equivalent might be Costco or just a grocery store. A large muffin, I can buy like a 6 pack from Sam's Club, and I'm sure Costco is exactly the same. I can buy a 6 pack of muffins for like $5, and each muffin is 660 calories. So if you're a hard gainer, you can eat something. You can eat stuff like muffins, all right? Eat stuff like muffins with your protein, or try to take a snack after. And worst comes to worst, you can eat fast food, but of course, don't go overboard. You don't want to get fat. You don't want to gain too much fat because you will eventually want to cut. And above all, you want to be healthy. All right. And last but not least, you want to avoid eating past your daily caloric surplus goal. All right. So I recommend eating in a surplus of 500 to 1,000 calories per day once you find your maintenance calories. Okay. Um, so if your maintenance calories are 2,500, you don't want to exceed past 3,500 calories, because if you exceed past 3,500 calories, you have to think, if you're eating 1,000 calories a day, that means you're gaining 2 pounds a week, because there's 3,500 calories in a pound, and you're eating in excess of 7,000 calories a week when you're eating in a surplus of 1,000 calories per day, right? So especially as a beginner, it's your training isn't perfect. You're not properly contracting all of your muscles, so you're going to gain some fat, which is fine. Everyone does, but you want to avoid eating too much past your daily caloric surplus goal. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be 1,000 calories. It can be 500 calories, but you want to avoid eating past it by too much, because you will gain fat. And whenever you go on a cut, cuts. I mean, everyone has to do them, but while they're doable, they're not fun, and it's much easier and a lot more tolerable to cut from 15% down to 12% than 20% down to 12%. So always be mindful of how many calories you're eating per day. All right, unless your goal is to just get as big as possible and you don't care about how much fat to gain. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Ultimately, if you're a hard gainer, you just need to eat more food. That is it. There's really no such thing as a hard gainer. It's honestly all cope. It's literally all cope. You're just not eating enough. You're either not eating at maintenance calories or eating below maintenance calories, all right? In order to combat that, you need to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I recommend eating between 1 to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And you just need to eat above more calories. You need to push weight in the gym. And if you do that, you will grow as someone who's a self-described hard gainer. But if you guys are interested, I offer one-on-one coaching. How to bodybuild, how to get jacked, how to get shredded, how to bodybuild and run concurrently. If you're interested, the link for that is in the bio. And if you guys enjoyed this video, like and leave a subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.